The moment I walked into the living room, I froze. My son flinched as I lifted my hand, a twitch of fear flashing across his eyes that shouldn't have been there. "Dad," he whispered, his tiny voice trembling, "I know you wouldn't hurt me, but Grandpa," my heart slammed against my chest. Grandpa, my own father. That one word cut deeper than any blade. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I just watched as my little boy curled into himself, expecting pain from the man who was supposed to protect him. And suddenly, rage exploded inside me. Not the kind that flares and dies, but the cold, calculated fire that eats at your soul until every wrong is righted. Grandpa had broken us. He had turned a child's safe haven into a place of fear, and I swore that he would pay, no matter what it took. I spent weeks watching him, studying his every move. Grandpa always thought he was untouchable, the rich, smooth-talking man who could charm his way out of anything, who could hide behind his money and arrogance. But I'd learned every corner of his life. I knew his routines, his weaknesses, his pride, and I knew his grandest mistake. He underestimated me. It started small. A car mysteriously disappearing from his garage. His perfectly manicured lawn ruined by early morning floods of hose water that smelled faintly of gasoline. He thought it was coincidence, bad luck, a random string of mishaps. He never suspected me, and that only fueled the fire. Every slight, every sneer he'd ever thrown at me, every moment he'd turned my family into a battlefield, it all came rushing back. The breaking point came one night when I watched him at gala, laughing and toasting to his own greatness while my son slept in terror at home. That's when I decided it would no longer be whispers or small annoyances. This had to hurt where it mattered, the one thing Grandpa valued more than anything, his reputation. I began my plan meticulously. I hacked into his emails, carefully leaked subtle but devastating truths about his misdeeds to the press. Slowly, the dominoes fell. Business partners started questioning deals. Old friends distanced themselves, and creditors looked at him with suspicion instead of admiration. The man who once smiled through life like a king now scowled in confusion, desperate to hold on to the empire he built on manipulation. And I didn't stop there. I played the long game, striking at the heart of his social pride. Invitations were rescinded, accolades denied, every public appearance tainted by a whisper of scandal. Every time his empire shook, I imagined my son's little eyes lighting up just a fraction, knowing his father had finally fought back for him. The final act was the sweetest. Grandpa, sitting in his lavish study, finally confronted me. "You think you can ruin me?" he spat, veins bulging, face red with fury. I simply smiled, calm and cold, and reminded him of my son, the boy who flinched when he lifted his hand. "No," I said quietly, "I didn't ruin you. You ruined yourself." All I did was let the world see it. For the first time in decades, he was powerless. The networks, the influence, the money, they meant nothing now. He was alone, stripped of the armor he thought was impenetrable. And in that moment, I realized something even more satisfying than revenge. Justice had a face, and it was mine. Weeks later, my son ran into my arms without hesitation. No flinches, no fear. Just trust, just love, just relief. Grandpa's shadow no longer loomed over us, no longer dictated our home, our hearts, our lives. And though I knew scars would linger, the triumph, the sheer intensity of reclaiming what was stolen, was intoxicating. Sometimes, revenge isn't about shouting or violence. Sometimes it's about precision, patience, and hitting where it hurts most. And when it's done right, the silence that follows is louder than any scream.